Hey guys, I wanted to go over the best techs that I've been looking at going through tournament reports through the meta. Now, this is all going to be basically from the last couple weeks, especially focusing on the new Blue Eyes format. So if you guys want to see more of this, leave a like down below and comment what your favorite tech was after this video is over, and let's get right into it. All right, so first we saw Gravekeeper's Inscription, and this was ran by a top 64 ryzeal Trap Tricks player at YCS Birmingham, and he ended up running Gravekeeper's Inscription in the side deck because this is an incredible side against decks like Maliss or Crystron or even Fiendsmith ryzeal, because if you draw this going first, you can activate this, and then it's essentially like the old Cold Wave from Edison, except you get to turn off your opponent from special summoning from the graveyard or banishing from the graveyard or activating cards in the graveyard. And depending on which deck it is, like if it's ryzeal, you'll stop them from specialing from graveyard so they can't special out like Engraver or things like that. And then against stuff like Maliss, obviously you call the banishing from the graveyard, and this is effectively a turn skip against those decks. And the issue is you do have to open it, but it's great in these 40 card builds where you can side it and just open it and use it, and you get a free game going first. More so in this vein, I have also seen a few lists use Spellbound recently, which was a card that came out a year or so ago, and it's essentially a quick play spell D-barrier that basically only works on the monsters that are face up when the card is activated. So with ryzeal putting on 2 bodies on the board and also Maliss using their bodies in order to link, Spellbound actually has found its way back into the meta, because you can also just call Spellbound once there are 2 bodies on the board for either of these decks, and this is effectively a turn skip, and it just gives you another option to do this. It's also a quick play, so it's very malleable whether you want to use it for going first or going second. It's not trapped like D-barrier. Now D-barrier covers more, but this version is at least something you could go second with. So also we have Xyz Encore for the going second options, because this is great into ryzeal. You can use this to take out a detonator, also theoretically a dweller if they don't first action use it. So it's a great card into the ryzeal meta. It puts the bodies back on board, but you've seen a lot of people actually tech this card into their side deck since YCS Birmingham with Basilis with his top 32 branded list, and then also now some ryzeal lists citing this in their regional topping list. So this makes sense for the mirror match, and also just it body blocks a lot of their slots, so it's not a bad option. Now let's talk about Blue Eyes techs. Now this is going to be very obvious, but Blue Eyes loses to board breakers. They really have a tough time into things like Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, and Evenly Match. So if you're looking for the best techs against Blue Eyes, I honestly would be siding board breakers. I think Lightning Storm is the premier board breaker right now, because you can choose between either destroying attack position monsters, which is really relevant with like Maliss always putting their monsters in attack position, same with like Murakamo always being in attack position for the Mitsurugi deck. So Lightning Storm is also a great option because it gives you the option to destroy all the spells and traps, and Blue Eyes is out here filling up their spell and trap card zone with 4 to 5 spells and traps. They're all very good, including pops and recurability, so I think in the field spell. So I think Lightning Storm is actually almost mandatory right now. It is also turned off if you have a Bestial, but things like Haggard Lizard Dose and people's decks have let you play around things like this. Now, a little bit in the vein of the Xyz Encore that we were just covering is Goblin's Crazy Beast. I recently went against Pack, and he used this against me. He was playing Maliss, and he ended up Fiendsmith Maliss, and he just used 2 Engravers to go into Goblin's Crazy Beast, and this card is a monster against ryzeal. And this card is a monster against ryzeal. Its effect reads, once per turn, you can target 1 spell or trap card on the field, detach 2 materials. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 spell or trap card on the field, detach 2 materials from a monster on the field, and if you do attach that target to this card as a material. If a monster you control would be destroyed by battle, you can detach 1 material from this card instead. If this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, and then you can attach 1 goblin monster from your graveyard to this as material. You can only use this effect of goblin once per duel. So it's a really cool card that basically guarantees quick effects to get rid of a spell and trap, so it can get rid of cross, but then it also detaches 2 from a card from a monster on the field, so you can detach 2 from detonator, duo driver, whatever it might be. So it's a great end board piece against ryzeal, arguably better than something like Caesar, because also it specs itself back, which is great as just like a free body, and it's a big body. So if you're playing ryzeal or Fiendsmith, or if you're playing any deck with the Bestials, I think, or any deck with Fiendsmith in general. So I think if you're playing any deck with Fiendsmith in general or Bestials, you should consider Goblin's Crazy Beast, because it's a really good generic rank 6 into things like ryzeal. Now, talk about weird cards. We're going to be looking at Morph King Stigigel. This card is basically a cheese in time card for Memento. You might look at it and you're like, what the hell is this? Is this a alien monster? No. It's a Fiend Tuner. I'm sad to say. It is a 1-for-1 target, but that's not the point. If this card is normal special summon, you can basically target one other face-up card on the monster on the field. You cannot special summon from the extra deck except for synchro monsters for the rest of this turn, and also change this card's level to the target. And if you do, gain LP equal to that target's level by 200, so you can very easily just get like plus 2000 in the Memento deck, and you can very easily special this out in Memento through various means. So this is something that you have been seeing Memento lists actually side for time. And if you guys want to see me cover a video where I go over all the weird cheese options for time in Yu-Gi-Oh, because it's kind of funny, there's like, this is like the genre of monster that is basically, it serves zero purpose outside of just being a card to do cheesing with time with. So it's one of those things I've been seeing pop up that I haven't quite seen in a lot of Memento. Also, Kurikara Div Incarnate is something I've seen start to come up a little bit, which is something I thought that would take actually over with YCS Birmingham, but we didn't see too much of it, except there were a couple in the top 64 list, so I do like that. This card's great against ryzeal and Malice, because you can tribute all face-up monsters on the field to activate their effects this turn in your opponent's monster zone, and so this is really good to play into their board, because it will gain 1500 for each monster, so it ends up going up to like 4500. And then during your end phase, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it, so you can special summon out like a Detonator or a Murakamo and basically just win the game. Or in the mirror match for Malice, just steal their White Binder. That's crazy. I think it's really good into both of those decks, because Mitsurugi, ryzeal, they're just playing through all their monster effects. Same with even any of the other ryzeal variants. Same with Malice as well. They just have to burn through their monster effects to kind of combo. So I think it's a great board breaker into either deck, and it just provides you multiple bodies plus a big body, so it's just really good. It's also a level 1 fire, so fire decks like Salad can just like search this out. I've also seen Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries come up in a lot of lists since YCS Birmingham. This card is great into the Malice and ryzeal matchup, and even Blue Eyes, because you can just call the most common extra deck cards. Now you can call Detonator, you can call Duo Drive, and effectively shut off the ryzeal combo line or the best end board piece that they have. And against Malice, if you call the White Binder, their deck is dead. If this card is out of rotation, their deck is dead, essentially. I mean, it's just a basic Cyber deck at that point. And against Blue Eyes, if you take out the Ultimate Spirit Dragon or the Spirit Dragon, their deck isn't really doing a whole lot outside of just having big bodies and their spells and traps. So pairing that with a Board Breaker, you're basically just winning the game. And then last but not least, we've seen Book of Moon come up a lot in pure ryzeal lists. I think this card's incredible. I've been testing with it in pure ryzeal on DB. It's amazing, because if they imperm your Duo Drive and you chain Book of Moon, you can chain Book of Moon to your Duo Drive, flip it just like a Luber, and then you still search, because usually not with monsters that don't detach for cost. Duo Drive detaches for card effect. However, the thing is, Duo Drive is worded so that it you can detach 2 materials from a monster, so essentially that makes it so that even though Book of Eclipse does will book the Duo Drive, it will still detach since it's just from a monster. So that means it's just how it's worded and how the ruling works. But this is why like a bunch of people have been running this in ryzeal, so I highly recommend you guys trying this out in ryzeal. Really, like, it will catch people off guard, like when they go imperm on Duo Drive and you just have the Book of Moon and you just like kind of win the game from there. It's also great against like Malice or ryzeal is like a going first interruption, so that you can set it and then just set like a monster so they can't end up exceeding or linking it off. Also, Daruma Cannon, I've seen a lot of people run it as a thrust target actually recently, which makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's one of the better thrust targets. It's also great against Malice because it obviously just sends their field to the graveyard, and then also just okay against ryzeal because you can flip their bodies before they exceed. So yeah, guys, what did you think of this video? What was your favorite card that we went over? These were the nice texts I saw across all the regionals and YCSs and recently that I thought were the best. So if you wanted to see another video like this next month, make sure to get this video to 100 likes. Also, I just wanted to say honorable mention, spell card monster reborn, target one monster in either graveyard and special summon it to your field, and it cannot attack and neither player can activate its effect, but it's also basically a called by the grave. Like, this is essentially a called by the grave, but you can special summon it to your field as well, and then this effect is negated. So just remember, this is effectively a called by the grave that gives you a body, so something to consider in decks. All right, we'll be seeing you guys later. METAGAMESGX signing out. Thank you. Have a great day.